everybody. Welcome to study number 18 in the book of Deuteronomy in our Search the Scriptures Bible study. Today we are in Deuteronomy chapter number 26, just one chapter today, and we will cover three different questions. First question comes from the first 11 verses. The law of first fruits to be given to God in acknowledgement of His mercies. In what way did the law require each Israelite to reflect on and give thanks for national mercies, and for what mercies was he specially to give thanks? And have not we far greater cause to do this? Verses 12 through 16, the law of tithes, to be given to their ministers and to others unable to provide for themselves. Note how richly God promises to give to those who thus give to Him and to others. From verses 16 through 19 are the closing exhortation of the discourse begun in chapter 5, and what covenant obligations did God and Israel respectively undertake, and what can we learn from these verses concerning God's purposes for us as His covenant people. Well, let's look at Deuteronomy chapter number 26 and begin in the first verse. When you've entered the land that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, and you've taken possession of it, and you've settled in it, take some of the first fruits of all that you produce from the soil of the land the Lord your God is giving you, and put them in a basket. Then go to the place the Lord your God will choose as a dwelling for His name, and say to the priest in office at the time, I declare today to the Lord your God that I have come to the land the Lord swore to our forefathers to give us. The priest shall take the basket from your hands and set it down in front of the altar of the Lord your God. Then you shall declare before the Lord your God, my father was a wandering Aramaean. And he went down into Egypt with a few people, and he lived there, and he became a great nation, powerful and numerous. But the Egyptians mistreated us and made us suffer, putting us to hard labor. Then we cried out to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our voice and saw our misery, toil, and oppression. So the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, with great terror and with miraculous signs and wonders. And He brought us to this place, and He gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And now I bring the first fruits of the soil that you, O Lord, have given me. Place the basket before the Lord your God, and bow down before Him. And you and the Levites and the aliens among you shall rejoice in all the good things that the Lord your God has given to you and your household. When you have finished setting aside a tenth of all your produce in the year of the tithe, you shall give it to the Levite, the alien, the fatherless, and the widow, so that they may eat in your towns and be satisfied. Then say to the Lord your God, I have removed from my house the sacred portion, and have given it to the Levite, to the alien, to the fatherless, and the widow, according to all that you commanded. And I have not turned aside from your commands, nor have I forgotten any of them. I have not eaten any of the sacred portion while I was in mourning, nor have I removed any of it while I was unclean, nor have I offered any of it to the dead. I have obeyed the Lord my God. I have done everything that you commanded me. Look down from heaven, your holy dwelling place, and bless your people Israel, and the land that you have given us, as you promised on oath to our forefathers, a land flowing with milk and honey. The Lord your God commands you this day to follow these decrees and laws, carefully observe them with all your heart and with all your soul. You have declared this day that the Lord is your God, and that you will walk in His ways, and that you will keep His decrees, commands, and laws, and that you will obey Him. And the Lord has declared this day that you are His people, His treasured possession, as He promised, and that you are to keep all His commands. He has declared that He will set you in praise, fame, and honor high above all the nations He has made, and that you will be a people holy to the Lord your God, as He promised. Okay, let's look at the first 11 verses, which is about the law of first fruits to be given to God in acknowledgement of His mercies. In what way did the law require each Israelite to reflect on and give thanks for national mercies? And for what mercies was he especially to give thanks? And have not we far greater cause to do this? Well, the nation of Israel, first of all, was commanded to remember where they had come from and to honor God by giving him the very first produce of the new land and reciting his past accomplishments on their behalf. And of course, we as Christians, we have even far greater reason to rejoice because we know that we inherit an eternal land with streets of gold and gates of pearl. And we know from the depths of sin that from where God has brought us, and he is, right now we are wandering, but we are going to go into an absolutely fantastic place and time and out throughout all of eternity with him. And it's time for us to put him first in everything that we do. And he promises that he will take care of us. Let's look at the next 5 verses 12 through 16, the law of tithes to be given to their ministers and to others unable to provide for themselves, and know how richly God promises to give to those who thus give to him and to others. Well, the promise of Deuteronomy 26:19 says this, to set you in praise, fame, and honor high above all nations. That's the promise. That's what God wants to see happen, to set them in praise, fame, and honor high above everybody and everything else. That's truly a remarkable promise. But this promise is only available to those that are obedient to God's requirements. And his requirements in the context of this verse is first fruits and tithes. So the very first thing that we must do is set aside the tithe, that which belongs to God. And he promised, this is what he promises, to set us in praise, fame, and honor above everything else. If we could just learn the secret of that and being obedient to that as a community of faith, it would be incredible what God would do for us and what we would be able to do for other people. The third question from verses 16 through 19, these are the closing exhortations of the discourse of chapter 5. What covenant obligations did God and Israel respectively undertake? And what can we learn from these verses concerning God's purposes for us as his covenant people? Well, Israel was to promise to be obedient to God, and God promised to be true to his promises. As long as Israel remained obedient to God's commands, they were guaranteed by God. That's a big guarantee. They were guaranteed productivity. They were guaranteed honor when they went into the promised land. Likewise, we are guaranteed gifts of the Spirit, everlasting peace, that he'll order our steps, that he'll direct our paths, that he'll light our paths, if we abide in his word, if we are obedient to him. Sometimes that's not easy. Sometimes it requires steps of faith. Sometimes it requires giving a tithe when we don't know how we're going to pay the rent or the light bill. Fortunately, it's something I've been doing for my entire life since I was 8 years old or 9 years old, I think it was, and began a paper route. So for 37 years, I've learned this glorious, wonderful lesson that God takes care of us when we put him first. And I hope in this area of your life, it's one of the most important areas of life. And I think for a new Christian, one of the greatest things they could ever learn. Because if we can put God first in this area of our lives, in the area of first fruits and tithes, everything else becomes so much easier. And the steps of faith are so much easier, and the rewards are so much greater. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope God continues to richly bless the rest of your day. God bless.